There is never a normal day in the Tour de France. 2024 Tour de France, stage 13, here in Po. I can tell you your stage winner was Jasper Philipsen, taking his second stage win in this edition. Behind him, what was a close fight with Wout van Aert, the Belgian from Visma Bike. Third went to the ever-present German Pascal Ackermann, and in fourth, the green jersey, Vingegaard. But there were a lot of casualties out there on the day, 163 kilometers to get here, and a lot of crosswinds, a lot of bad weather, and a lot of hard racing. Right away, we could see things were serious. The winds were ripping apart the peloton. One of the casualties was Juan Ayuso, who was up there in the GC, finished fourth last year in the Vuelta a España, being spat out the back. The peloton was not waiting for him, and Juan Ayuso, well, his day would end out there on the roads. Up front, it was Wout van Aert driving the group, being very attentive because up the road was a 21-man group that included Adam Yates, who set 7 minutes back in the general classification. Also Mathieu van der Poel, Hugo Houle, the Canadian from Israel Premier Tech, the American Nielsen Paulus, and yes, the ever-present Jonas Abrahamsen in the polka dot jersey. And there we were getting a look. The winds were blowing from right to left across the road. We could see Visma up there driving with Jorgensen, Vingegaard there, Christophe Laporte in the European jersey, Remco Evenepoel attentive in the yellow jersey, Tadej Pogacar with not many UAE riders around him. Then shifting back to UAE's teammate, Tadej Pogacar's teammate, shaking hands with the DS, drifting off the back. You could tell his day was done for this Tour de France of 2024, over and out, suffering from a COVID positive. He wasn't to continue in this race and would have to abandon. While out front, that group was splitting up. We could see the polka dot jersey in there. We could see the world champion of Mathieu van der Poel. They were starting to crack under pressure. Everything was getting split with behind Visma driving things, Jan Tratnik, Vingegaard, everyone present. Up front, it was splitting with Magnus Kort. We had Kiwa Kalski up there. We had Julian Bernard, who kissed his wife the other day and their baby in the time trial and got a fine for doing so. Unbelievable. But this was a hard racing day, and you could see Visma so on it all day, very attentive, because just yesterday we saw how Primož Roglič got caught out in a harsh moment when stress was high and there was a crash in the peloton. So you always want to be up front in the peloton, especially when the winds are hard as they were today. And Victor Lecampenart's there at 55 kilometers out, starting to drive things again, causing more splits as the escape was swept up. Remco Evenepoel there, attentive in the white jersey, a best young rider in an all yellow. You can see him right there. Tadej Pogacar in the mix, in the move, on the go. The last of the escapees were swept up, including the polka dot jersey, Abrahamsen, but don't worry, we'll see him again on the attack. Richard Carapaz and another Uno X rider, I believe it was Tobias Johannesson, up front, back behind, 19 kilometers to go. We seem to have a little bit of a stalemate, a calm in the day that saw a high average pace, but then bam, there's another hit. It's Jasper Stuyven, former Milano San Remo winner, hitting out with Van Moor right there with him. A Total Energy rider on the attack as well, Laporte marking him. You could tell Visma Bike were trying to set up things for Wout van Aert. Intermarché setting things up, placing Vingegaard in the green jersey in position. He's bumping shoulders with Christophe Laporte, going around road furniture. This is crazy. This is racing at the Tour de France. Driving hard, Intermarché doing a great job for Vingegaard. Christophe Laporte setting second wheel with Wout van Aert right behind him, then bam, over on the left-hand side, a crash. Just as Armaury Caput was drifting off after his lead-out work, Lotto Destiny was driving hard up the left-hand side, and there was no space. So they get caught in the crash. Also, Arnaud Delis held up as well, and I think I saw South African champion Ryan Gibbons down, but that doesn't affect what's going up at the front. Visma always at the front because it's Christophe Laporte driving the big man, Wout van Aert, in the Red Bull helmet, the Visma Bike Renaissance jersey, to the finish line into this classic town here in the foothills of the Pyrenees. Straight shot, and look, you see the yellow jersey right in there too. This is a reduced bunch. Tadej Pogacar driving over on the left-hand side. We see Jasper Stuyven first, on the barriers, then moving around the other side of Wout van Aert. Very safe sprint by him, yes, today. Wout van Aert making his move in the center, throwing his bike, but couldn't stop Jasper, the master, today from pulling off his second stage win. And Van Aert, despite the crash a couple of days ago, has picked up 2 second places in this Tour de France. And oh, the replay, terrible. Case Bowl also went down. Total Energy Rider went down. Bikes everywhere. But there's that rule, 3 kilometer rule, I think it might have been today. So when we saw the splits in the peloton with Jonas, Vingegaard, and other riders being caught out by that crash, well, those splits don't matter. Everyone was given the same time on the day, a day that we thought would just be a straight up sprint, perhaps the last one we might have in this Tour de France, a straight up sprint, but no, it wasn't to be. Ripped apart all day, winds everywhere, and the hard men coming out to play. Jasper Philipsen, of course, he is a winner of Milano-San Remo. He pulled it off this year with the help of Mathieu van der Poel. Van der Poel in the World Championship jersey wasn't there to lead out Jasper, as he did 4 times last year and helped him win the green jersey at the Tour de France. Instead, Van der Poel played his card out there in the early escape but didn't have the legs. He came in with a group of riders that included Mark Cavendish around 13 minutes back. So as mentioning the casualties on the day, well, it's Ayuso no longer there to help Tadej Pogacar in his fight for the overall. We're going to have to rely on João Almeida to do that and the other boys in the team. And then also the casualty would be Arnaud Delis, who didn't get his sprint victory today, and perhaps in this year's Tour de France's debut in the Tour de France's Belgian national champion. It was a tough day out there, a day that saw us rolling out from the start in Agen without Primož Roglič, winner of the Vuelta a España 3 times, I think, Giro d'Italia once, and was really hoping to do something here with Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe. But that crash yesterday, although no fractures, he wasn't able to continue in this race. A race that today, here in Pau, one of those classic stops in the Tour de France with the Pyrenees off on the horizon, because this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we got 2 big mountain stages on tap. And today, the sprinters enjoying the last opportunity with Jasper Philipsen coming out on top. Stage 13, Tour de France.